Social media is probably the single biggest pain point we hear. We work with cities in 44 states, with city councils all across the nation. Social media is consistently the single biggest pain point and the single biggest challenge of figuring out what to do with it. My mother, I love my little 84-year-old mother. I really do. But about every third email she forwards to me, I feel the need to have her drug checked. See, what's happened is we have surrendered the utilization of our gray matter when it comes to social media. We have surrendered the utilization of our heart and soul when it comes to social media. Now, I've got to tell you, one of the things that really is kind of crummy about hosting something is that I didn't get to have somebody come up here and introduce me and tell you the stuff I wanted you to know and all of that. And I want to tell you one thing about me that I'm very, very proud of, since I didn't get an introduction. And that is, I am actually the guy who invented Silly Putty. I am. I swear, some of you look a little skeptical. It's true. If you don't believe me, go right now, pull your phone out, go to Wikipedia and look me up. I typed it in this afternoon. It's on the internet. It's got to be true, right? It's got to be true because it's on the internet. See, that's the environment we're in. My facts are as good as your facts. We've lost this ability, and it's hard to figure out how to deal with it. It is unbelievably hard to be an elected official and to lead in the environment that we're in. We will follow up with you with an email after this. We truly covet your critiques and your feedback and your suggestions. When I started off this evening, I told you this is an experiment. Frank Zappa said, somebody has got to do something, and it is just incredibly pathetic that it's got to be us. In that spirit, we're trying to do something. We want you to tell us what we can do better. How do we take this? And one of the reasons all three of them agreed to come here tonight and do this for free, because they believe in what you're doing matters, but also they're trying to figure out with us, how do we do something that changes the trajectory of our nation? Because the reality is, solutions and civility and peace is not going to come out of Washington, D.C., and it is not going to come out of Austin or out of any of our state governments. Healing is only going to come at your community level. You are the ones that holds the future of our nation in hand. You are the ones that will determine what our future as a nation is going to be. Let me give you 4 principles that I want to urge you as an elected leader to try and lead by and live by. The first one is do things right and do the right things. In government, because of political dynamics, we do so many of the wrong things extraordinarily well. We've got to do both sides of that equation. Second, do unto others as I'd have them do unto me. The golden rule is so simple to say, and yet so difficult to actually live up to actually walk the talk. But if you actually begin to take and live the golden rule around the dais and in your interaction in the communities, I swear to you, it will begin to transform your community. And it will make your life better. The third is do right, risk consequences. Sam Houston, the Texans' Texan, the leader of the Texas Revolution, the hero of the Texas Revolution, initially was president of the Republic of Texas, then went on to become one of the first governors, and then went on to become one of the first senators. As a U.S. senator, he kept on his wall a plaque that said, "Do right, risk consequences." Sam Houston, the Texans' Texan, ended his career literally and figuratively spat upon and reviled and name-called and humiliated and thrown out of office by the Texas legislature, which could do that in those days, because of his opposition to secession and slavery. Leadership sometimes means paying the consequences. And we are unfortunately in an era in which increasingly we have people who want to be called leaders, but the standard they live by is to do right as long as there are no consequences. We've got to do better than that. And the fourth principle, made famous by Robert F. Kennedy in his ill-fated run for the presidency in 1968. Some people look at the world as it is and ask why. I look at the world as it could be and ask why not. See, that captures the essence of what originally pulled me into local government and what I believe pulled all of you into local government. I think it's the pulling of your heart that called you into being a public servant, whether you're elected or appointed, is that sense of making a difference and making things better. And what happens is in our brutal political environment, we dummy down everything to the lowest common denominator of just getting through the day. Let me share a statistic with you that the Washington Post ran about 3 or 4 years ago. National Dairy Council did a study. 6% of Americans believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Now, let me translate that for you. Frisco table over here, how many residents are there in Frisco? 180,000. I'm going to call it 200 because I can do the math. That means Frisco has 12,000 citizens who think that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. And they all vote. We've got to figure out how to lead more effectively. And to the point of some of the comments, one of the keys, our human tendency is the grocery store routine. We see the person on the end of the aisle and just to whip the U-turn. Our tendency is to hunker down and hide. And our real answer is to engage in a constructive, positive way of leading. Great leadership is not pain-free. Great leadership comes with some broken bones. As you go back into your communities and you deal with the brutality and you deal with the insanity and you're feeling like you're at your last edge, I want to encourage you to remember this evening and remember 3 people that are nationally prominent who came here tonight because they believe in you and what you're doing and that it matters. And may you have the courage to grab every moment that this world has to give and focus on the next generation more than the next election. Thank you for being with us tonight. Y'all have a wonderful evening.